Hello, welcome to this week's edition of BOI Weekly. I am Terry Ikumi. The Bank of Industry's quest to empower Nigerians in various sectors of the economy has been extended to the Graduate Entrepreneurship Fund Scheme, the first youth program launched in October 2015, and other micro-entrepreneurs, such as furniture and shoemakers, bakers, tailors, among others. Now, since the disbursement of these loans, many of such entrepreneurs have taken their businesses to greater heights as they continue to access funds from the Bank of Industry. Two of such beneficiaries are Olaosebikan Olou, who runs MOOCS Africa, an information technology outfit based in Jos, and Ilya Musa, who is into the business of honey production. On this week's edition of the program, we'll take a look at how these two beneficiaries are adding up to the economic development of the nation. Welcome to the program. Our team, as usual, visited the office and showroom of a fast-growing information technology company and the sprawling farm of a bee producer. They talked to us about the impact of the credit facility from BOI on their business. We begin with Olaosebikan, an information technologist. Olaosebikan is an ICT specialist who specializes in application, web and software developments, as well as corporate training, schools management systems, and development of online learning platforms. His company, MOOCS Africa, an information technology company, registered in Nigeria, started in 2017. According to him, his quest to start the company began shortly after the completion of his National Youth Service Corps program, after studying computer science and with a commitment of providing innovative IT solutions in the education sector and for other small businesses.
Currently, like I said earlier, we provide IT services. Now, to be more specific, we actually develop IT solutions, both web-based IT solutions and mobile app-based solutions. And we provide a lot of training services, which include what we have both mobile training and localized training. For some time now, we've reduced our localized training because of venue size, but our mobile training includes we traveling across the country, running trainings on campuses across the country, especially IT-based training. So we train students of, for example, we have a training that we call IT career compliance training. What that means is that every field is powered today by IT. No matter what you're doing today, there is something you have to do with IT. So we created a series of training for different disciplines that are not necessarily in computer science. So for example, we train students or graduates of accounting, both students or graduates of accounting. We train them on the use of accounting software, like Sage accounting software and QuickBooks. And for computer science students while on campus too, we also run trainings for them on the use of things like web development and of course the business side of development, web development. Now, we also provide other services like, with our MOOCS Africa, we provide other services like learning management systems and school management systems. They are web-based solutions, but let me be more specific. So for example, for schools, we provide school management systems for schools. There are solutions that we build that are web-based, but that help to manage the entire activities of the school. We also provide what we call learning management system for schools and organizations. During the COVID era, a lot of attention turned to online learning. So a lot of schools needed to come up with a way to reach their kids without the physical classroom bother. Then our learning management system became a solution that was much more accepted and appreciated by schools. We built for a couple of schools the learning management system for schools. So it's a platform where teachers can teach their students even without being present physically in schools. And of course, we have this platform we're building online, which is a big, we're working on to be a major learning hub across the country and indeed across Africa, which is at mookaf.com. Basically, we're working on developing some series of courses that people can take online, which is still ongoing. Development is ongoing. We have about 500 courses that we're building currently, and the development is ongoing. Somewhere before the end of this year, we're hoping to have launched both online and on our apps generally. And for our staff strength, before we started working with BOI, especially in the previous in our previous institution, we had just 1 or 2 staff that we could work with. But ever since we got BOI, on ground we have at least 3 people that work on our projects, Then basically depending on the work we are doing. So if we have some work, we have freelancers that work with us on and off. They don't work here. Depending on the project we have, freelancer in total, plus our freelancers, plus in-house staff, and then of course people that do training as instance on contract. In total, depending on our project, could be up to about 10 from time to time, depending on the size of projects we are working on. But primarily at the office center, we have just 3 people physically here. We have 3 people physically here aside me that work on our projects, aside freelancers.
One of his major projects is an online learning platform being developed for the African continent.
It was then, there was a program, we've always heard about Bank of Industry, and to be honest, those days when we hear Bank of Industry, we just think it's for where Bank of Industry is for big players in the industry. One day we are going to become big players and all that. So nobody really bothers going to Bank of Industry, at least among my colleagues in business. But with time, we got to learn that there was this program by Bank of Industry in partnership with the federal government called Young Entrepreneurship Scheme, called YES, that's Young Entrepreneurship Scheme. The idea was to help to train young Nigerians and young business owners and entrepreneurs in Nigeria, and of course give them loan to power their business. So we then applied for this YES program. We went through a series of trainings at their office in Bauchi, and then over time, after the trainings, we got some disbursements for equipment and of course for working capital, which has been very beneficial to our business. So basically it was through a program, a special program they were running then in partnership with the federal government on media. We heard about it, and of course there was a deadline to register, so we got registered and we got drafted in and into the whole thing.
Olowo's desire to expand the business led him to approach the Bank of Industry for a credit facility, a decision he describes as his best business resolution.
Yeah, basically before we got the BOI, before we had a relationship with BOI and got the input from BOI, businesses were trying to take off. Anybody starting business from scratch in Nigeria knows what I'm talking about. It could be sometimes very tough, especially when you're looking for investors and you probably don't have one yet. So before we got BOI, we had very few capacity to employ people. So we had a lot of ideas that we had to hold on with because there was no execution strength, though they are great ideas that we could have worked on. And of course, we had need of equipment which we didn't have to at the time, especially a lot of equipment that we needed to develop the projects we were working on. Those were not really on ground. So we were basically working more on our trainings, especially trainings that were done outside of our offices. And of course, a few web-based services we were providing for schools and other organizations. But we couldn't really expand to most of the things we wanted to work on. Through this YES scheme, we got a loan of about 2.5 million, and basically to get us equipment for the projects we were working on. Much of the loans came as equipment supplied to us, and then of course part of it for working capital. Basically, that's just it.
We see the tutorial class for upcoming ICT developers.
So example of our input device is the keyboard. It helps us to enter data, maybe in numeric form or alphabetic form.
The organization's core values of purpose, passion, pursuit and principles have been the driving force in service delivery, especially on the main projects that attracted the intervention of the Bank of Industry.